Hello everyone, my name is Sarafi and I'm happy to meet you all. There were some interesting leaks from a big event that Konami did, and at first I wasn't going to talk about them because they're going to announce the main box at some point. I figured I'd cover the whole thing all at once, but then they announced the special set and I had to step in and talk to you guys about this ahead of time. So, these cards are coming, I guess, this month. There's a main box called Starving Venom. Let's take a look at it. October 24th. October 23rd is when Yuri comes to Duel Links. The Ace monster, of course, Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, level 8 Dark Dragon monster. It requires 2 dark monsters on the field except tokens. So you cannot fuse this card with cards in your hand explicitly, which is rare. That's a rare restriction. And it also does not allow you to use tokens to fusion summon it. So the main idea of Starving Venom Fusion Dragon is that you can use it, you can make it with monsters on your opponent's side of the field with super polymerization. Yuri does play super polymerization in the anime, and there are Predaplant monsters that force your opponent's monsters to become dark, and there are Predaplant monsters that also can be made with super polymerization. So it's a deck that uses your opponent's cards as material. It's also important to note that Fallen of Albaz is dark. So you can use Fallen of Albaz with 1 dark monster on your opponent's side of the field to make Starving Venom Fusion Dragon as well. And now whether the Yuri skill will allow us to normal summon Fallen of Albaz remains to be seen. And even if it doesn't, does that matter? Would we just cut the skill altogether? Like, the skill would have to be pretty good for us to not just play Predaplants, which is a very good deck already, with Fallen of Albaz as an option. You know, because we can play 3 copies of Fusion Deployment, just summon Fallen of Albaz from deck, which is just going to be good enough in most cases. If this card is fusion summoned, you can make this card gain attack equal to 1 opponent's special summon monster until the end of the turn. So if you summon this card and your opponent has a Blue Eyes that was special summon, it gains 3,000 attack points, so it's 5,800 and it beats over it. Once per turn, you can target 1 level 5 or higher monster your opponent controls. Until the end phase, this card's name becomes that monster's original name, and replace this effect with that monster's original effects. And this is not a quick effect. It's an interesting idea, being able to steal your opponent's monster's effects, and this is a recurring theme in the Starving Venom line. There are more Venom monsters besides this one. Let's see, what would be an example of a monster that you would want to steal? Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. You could steal its monster negate and also its ability to gain attack points when it battles. You would want to steal something like... What's another monster that's like actually seeing play right now? There aren't too many high level monsters that are seeing play, I don't think. It's like a Link meta and then an Xyz meta. The Vioneer doesn't have any effects that you would want to take. What decks are actually seeing play right now? Sky Striker's not high. Fleur just makes... Yeah, there are literally no decks in the meta right now that really use high-level monsters. I mean, I guess you could, like, Wind Witch. You could take Diamond Bell, and then if you have Wind Witch, it's in your graveyard, yes. Regardless, you know, there will be high-level decks coming out, so this will still be something that you can do. But it's not the most important part of this card. And then lastly... If this Fusion Summon card is destroyed, you can destroy all your opponent's special summon monsters. That's interesting. So it triggers off of whether it's destroyed by card effect, whether it's destroyed by battle, or whether you destroyed it or your opponent destroyed it. That's really flexible. That destruction effect is present on Elemental Hero Absolute Zero, which we never got because it's so hard to actually deal with your entire board getting wiped in the battle phase, because there's no main phase 2. So, obviously Starving Venom Fusion Dragon had to come because it's an ace monster, unlike Absolute Zero. But this does raise some questions about how Konami is going to balance this. Are we at the point where you can remove Starving Venom Fusion Dragon consistently enough without destroying it going second? Compulsory evacuation device would require you to wait a turn, so you're not necessarily going to win the game the turn that you go second, which may be enough, like, that may be hard enough to actually lower its win rate. Obviously, you can crack down. You could Book of Eclipse. No, because the card would still be Fusion Summon in that case. Book of Eclipse doesn't work. Neither does Book of Moon. Mind Control? I don't know. I mean, obviously, Sky Strikers can just play their Afterburners and get rid of it before they have any monsters on the field to begin with. But I don't know about other decks. That part's going to be really hard to deal with. Next up, we have Cyber Emergency, which has been in the game for a while because it was skill locked, but now we have it finally can get 3 of it. Add 1 Light Machine monster that cannot be normal summoned or set, or 1 Cyber Dragon monster from your deck to your hand. If the activation of this card in its owner's possession was negated by your opponent's card and sent to the graveyard, you can discard 1 card to add this card to your hand. I don't think I've ever seen that effect go off. You can only activate 1 Cyber Emergency per turn. Why would you... I guess so you can do it next turn? That's a weird effect that it legitimately, like, can just come back to your hand if it gets negated. But you can't play it again. Weird. This is good. Being able to draw Cyber Dragon's very solid. You can also use this to search Jizukiru, the... what is it called? You can also use this to search Jizukiru, the Star-Destroying Kaiju. No, you can't. Never mind. I thought that Kevin told me you could do that. Never mind. But you could use it to search Cyber Dragons. So very, very good card. What is the Light Machine monster that cannot be normal summoned or set that you want to add? Well, anyway, being able to draw Cyber Dragons makes your deck more consistent, of course, so this will probably be a 3 of in Cyber Dragons. Okay, next up we have Harmonizing Magician. People have been waiting for this card for 2 years. This is a very important card for Pendulum decks, for the Pendulum Synchro deck especially. It's a level 4 with a Pendulum scale of 8, Spellcaster, Tuner, Dark. Pendulum effect, all monsters you control gain 100 second defense for each face-up Magician Pendulum monster with a different name in your extra deck. Not very good, but the main effect is the second one. Cannot be special summoned from the extra deck. Very interesting. So you can return Harmonizing Magician to your hand with Wisdom Eye Magician. Or not Wisdom Eye Magician. What's the other one? Oath Dragon. You can return to your hand with Oath Dragon Magician, but you cannot Pendulum summon it from the extra deck. Very, very interesting restriction. So it's got to be a pretty powerful card, right? Cannot be used as material for a Fusion, Synchro, or Xyz summon unless all the other materials are Magician Pendulum monsters. Okay, interesting. That is a pretty strong restriction as well. Typically, Magician has not been the main focus of these decks. It's been Perform Pals and On Eyes. When this card is Pendulum Summoned from the hand, you can special summon 1 Magician Pendulum monster from your deck in defense position, except Harmonizing Magician, but negate its effects, and also banish it when it leaves the field. Wow! Okay, that's really good. So, this allows you to essentially get a free rank 4 or a free Synchro 8. Is that good? That's insane. As long as it gets Pendulum Summoned from the hand. Now, if you make a Synchro Summon, obviously you are going to lose both cards, because you can't really return your Harmonizing Magician unless you have exactly Oath Dragon, and the other card's going to get banished. But you are a Pendulum deck. There are other cards that you can Pendulum Summon from your extra deck, because you're going to be Pendulum Summoning more than just Harmonizing Magician. So this card's like really, really strong. for getting just an extra piece on your board. It's like a one card Xyz or Synchro, and then you have the rest of your hand, basically. So Harmonizing Magician just helps you beef up an existing board and make it more deadly. Targets would be things like Cyber Slash, maybe Stardust Dragon. You could use it to make Scarlight if you're going second. There are a few good Synchro 8s. You could make... it's a Dark Tuner monster, so you can use it to make Draco Berserker the Tinny or Void Ogre Dragon. So yeah, this is going to be a really good card. So we'll see how this affects Pendulums, because I think this is going to be a game changer for them. Next up, we have Predaplant Orphis Scorpio. Of course, this card's coming, because Yuri is coming. A level 3 Plant Dark Monster. If this card is normal or special summon, you can send a monster from your hand to the graveyard, special summon one Predaplant monster from your deck, except Predaplant Orphis Scorpio. Now you might think, oh, I mean, it's a special summon from deck, but you have to give up a card from your hand. Is that good enough? Well, yes, because the card that you're going to summon is... where is it? Predaplant Darlingtonia Cobra, which is a level 3 Dark Plant monster. If this card is special summoned by the effect of a Predaplant monster, you can add one Polymerization spell card or one Fusion spell card from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect once per duel. Now, Predaplant Darlingtonian Cobra lets you add Super Polymerization, and you now have 2 Dark Monsters on the field. It also lets you add Ultra Polymerization, which I don't know that we're going to get right away. It is another card that Yuri played. But Ultra Polymerization is pay 2,000 life points, fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using 2 monsters you control as fusion materials. Neither player can activate cards in response to this card's activation, and then you can banish this card from your graveyard, target a fusion summon monster that was fusion summoned with this card's effect, and special summon all the fusion materials listed from it from your graveyard, but change their attacks and effects to attack and defense to 0. Also, their effects are negated. So Ultra Polymerization would allow you to basically fuse Orphis Scorpio and Darlingtonian Cobra, and then banish it to revive them both, so you could fusion summon again, or you could link summon, or you could even Xyz summon, because they're both level 3s. And the main target of Ultra Polymerization is where is it? Predaplant Melodies, which is a dark level 5 that requires 2 Predaplant monsters. If this card is fusion summoned, you can add one Predaplant monster or one Predap spell or trap from your deck, graveyard, or face up extra deck to your hand. You can target one monster your opponent controls with a Predator counter or one monster you control, tribute it, and if you do, special summon one Predaplant monster from your deck. You can only use each effect once per turn. So you would either be able to tribute one of your opponent's monsters to get a free summon, or you could take one of the monsters that you summoned off of the Ultra Polymerization, tribute it to summon a monster that actually has attack and effect. Cool. So Ultra Polymerization, very good card. Even if it pays 2,000 life points in a 4,000 life point format, it will still see play. And of course, searching Super Polymerization is another really, really powerful effect. That means the skill doesn't even have to search Super Polymerization for you. The skill can just search Orphis Scorpio for you. So Predaplants will be pretty good. Next up, we have True Draco Heritage. This is a continuous spell. During your main phase, you can draw cards equal to the number of True Draco and True King card types, monster, spell, and trap, sent from the field to the graveyard this turn. During your main phase, you can immediately, after this effect resolves, tribute summon one True Draco or True King monster face up. If this card is sent from the spell and trap zone to the graveyard, then you can target one spell or trap on the field and destroy it. Now, True Draco and True King monsters can tribute spell and trap cards as tributes in addition to monsters. So the True Draco deck has a lot of continuous spells and continuous traps, and then level 6 and 8 monsters that you can summon basically to try and control the board and lock your opponent down. True Dracos are a threat, but there are a lot of cards, and I don't think they're going to be the main focus of this box. So I imagine this deck is not going to be complete, and we'll need to see how many cards we actually get before we can determine if True Dracos will be a deck that you can play. True Draco Heritage is a great start, though. Then, as a final, probably ultra rare in the box just to draw people in, Lord of the Heavenly Prison. During your main phase, you can activate this effect. This card in your hand becomes revealed until the end of your opponent's turn. While this card is revealed by your effect, set cards on the field cannot be destroyed by card effects on either player's field, so you can't destroy your opponent's set cards either. If a set, spell, or trap card is activated, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then, if you activate this effect while this card was revealed, you can reveal and set one spell or trap directly from your deck, but banish it during the end phase of the next turn. You can only use one Lord of the Heavenly Prison effect per turn, and only once that turn. So, Lord is an interesting card. Where you reveal it, you pass to your opponents, and then when you activate a trap card during their turn, you get to special summon Lord for free, and it has 3,000 attack and 3,000 defense. And you also get to set another card from your deck, and then you can use it during your next turn. You will usually set like a normal spell card so that you can like get your Cyber Emergency and play it and get some extra value. Maybe Dark Hole, you know. You could use it to set Crackdown, and then just Crackdown during your next turn, and then just get rid of the card before the Crackdown gets banished. You know, those are all good options. So Lord of the Heavenly Prison is a Bob card. Paleozoics will definitely play this card, so good for Bob. And I think the rest of you will see use of this card in a lot of decks. Very similar to Nibiru the Primal Being, just a card that can see a lot of play in decks where there's no restriction on the number of monsters you can summon and types and everything. Okay, and now we have the special sets, which is the whole reason we pulled this video up. Cyber Dragon Infinity. This is a rank 6 light machine monster that requires 3 level 6 light machine monsters. That is very specific material, and there aren't that many level 6 monsters, especially in Cyber Dragons. So what's going on here? Well, once per turn, you can also exceed summon Cyber Dragon Infinity by using Cyber Dragon Nova you control as material. Oh, that explains it. So Cyber Dragon Nova is in the structure deck. It's a rank 5 that isn't particularly amazing. It just has the ability to revive Cyber Dragon. So you can make your Cyber Dragon Nova, then exceed it into Infinity. Cyber Dragon Infinity has 2100 attack and 1600 defense, just like every other Cyber Dragon, and it says gains 200 attack for each material attached to it. So if you make Nova, and then you make Cyber Dragon Infinity on top of Nova, it will have 2700 attack points because there will be 3 materials. Once per turn, you can target one face-up attack position monster on the field and attach it to this card as material. Wow, that's good. Okay, so if your opponent has a monster, like, you know, let's say that they have Dingirsu in attack position, well, then you can just suck up the Dingirsu. It can't use its effect to protect itself from being destroyed because it's not being destroyed. All of its materials go to the graveyard, and then this card stays on your side of the field, which means that if your opponent's playing Orcust, they can't revive the Dingirsu because the Dingirsu is not in their graveyard to be revived. Very, very powerful effect, being able to just take the monster into the aether, basically. Attaching opponent's monsters to Xyz monsters as material is arguably one of the best forms of removal in the entire game, because the opponent just simply stops having access to the card until your card is removed from the field. Then we also have, once per turn, when a card or effect is activated, as a quick effect, you can attach one material from this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. And that is not a hard once per turn, but this is a special set card, so I imagine we're only going to get one copy of it. That is an Omni-Negate. So you can negate a spell, trap, or monster effect by detaching one material from this card. And you start out with 3 of these, and then you can get one more every single turn. This is very similar to Chronomaly V Mana, except it's much less expensive. It's only 1 material instead of 2, and it works on spells and traps in addition to working on monster effects. So this is a very, very powerful card. Probably one of the best cards currently in Duel Links. And Cyber Dragons are going to pop off. Very sad that they did not unnerf the Cyber Dragon existing cards. But, you know, if we move from a fusion strategy to a full Xyz strategy, I think it'll be okay. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what people can do with Cyber Dragon Infinity. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. My name is Serafi, and I was thrilled to have all of you with me.